Well, when I came to Humble was the spring of 1999. Phil Eaton had been the coach here, and it was really one of the premier programs in the city and state already. But I walked into a situation where kids knew how to work hard, kids knew how to play hard, they had discipline. I walked into a coach's dream as far as taking over for a guy that had run an excellent program. They had made the playoffs 7 straight years. They didn't have a lot of returning players, but what they did have is the culture and the history that you knew that you were going to be able to piggyback that and continue that.
25 years in the playoffs, man, that's a big feat. And most people don't realize this, but there's not a teenager in any school right now that was even alive when that streak started. So that's pretty impressive. I mean, you can look at it a number of ways. It's a what, quarter of a century? That's a long time to be in the playoffs and to experience success. And I'm grateful for having the opportunity to take over. And I mean, I think I had so much pressure on me from guys like Cooper and Phil Eaton and Troy Kite that I wanted to do well there too. And I know Lair feels the same way. He's got some big shoes that followed him, and he wants to do well, and he's doing a great job. So not only am I proud of Humble High School, I'm proud of the job that he's doing as well.
One of the things, that the transition from being in sub-varsity to the varsity was fairly easy here because of just the tradition that had been there, and then just learning things from David. I mean, David was a great guy to work with, because he took so much value in what I had to offer. He also, though, just taught me so many things about how to hold kids accountable. I think that's the biggest thing that we're able to do here is we do have a little bit of depth, and I know that Troy did it and David did it, just holding these guys accountable for their actions, not only on the court, but in the classroom, in the hallways, and doing those things. So it was a pretty easy transition, but it was also difficult because I couldn't do the things the way David did it, because David was his own guy. We took some of those things, but then I had to learn, and it's taken a little while. I mean, that first year was kind of easy because it was right off of the group that he had, and the next year was a little more difficult. But then I was able to kind of find my way to what I wanted to do and how I wanted to do it while continuing the same old traditions, but kind of put my own stamp on it. I think we've been able to do that.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I mean, it was 13 straight years when I was getting out of coaching. The Tacita was opening up, so they were split. David comes in, and you could have the woe was me. I don't know that I could express how proud I am of this particular program. I know I'm the AD, and I don't have favorites. But when you've coached at a place, and then you see what David came in and did and took it to another level, and then to see what Lair's done, and quite honestly take it to another level from what David has taken it. And you look around the facilities, and I painted those bleachers and those rails, and it just creates a great deal of pride that we're the longest tenured playoff streak in the greater Houston area. I don't think it's by luck. I mean, obviously we have some kids that can play, but the same token, when you get split twice and you can still have the continued success that the basketball program has had here at Humble High School, I think that speaks for itself.
Well, I think what's helped us to be able to maintain that winning and that edge is probably a little bit of what I mentioned before, being able to hold them accountable. I mean, they know that if they don't do what is expected of them, they don't play as hard as they can play. If they don't play with maximum effort, if they don't do the things they're supposed to do, then they're going to be on the bench. I mean, they're not going to see the floor. And the bench, I've found, is the best motivator sometimes. I mean, you don't want to do that, but sometimes you have to. Hey, if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, it's going to be the next man up on the court.
I think it just proves there's a million different ways to coach the game. And what it really goes down to is player buy-in. I know that when I took over for Phil, his players had bought into what he was selling. And I didn't coach the exact same way Phil did. But I could learn some things from it. And the players bought into what we did. And the players bought into what David did, even though it was different than me. One of the things we asked Larry when we hired him, are we getting David? And he goes, no, all I know how to be is me. So I think we'll do some of the things that David did, but I have to be me. And I think that's the characteristic of great programs is a coach is going to sell their program. They sell it every single day. And when the kids buy in, you're going to have that continued success.
Well, we preach all the time about the tradition of Humble High School. These kids know it. They know nothing but winning here. And they see it every day. They see what teams in the past have done. They see the former pictures. They see the former teams up on the wall, different things that have happened. So they know that are in a place that's used to winning, and so they know nothing else. So that's the easy part for us, is they know how to win, and they want to be a team that continues that tradition. Especially we preach it to the seniors. You know, you don't want to be the class that doesn't get it done, doesn't continue that tradition. So that's, you know, this team's no different. I mean, we had a pretty good feeling we would make it in the playoffs this year, but, you know, we still want to do something more. We want to continue to build on that tradition, but maybe do something even further than what's been done in the past. My favorite moment as the head coach here, and I'm gonna actually give you two of them. One is that that's my second year here. It was the year that I realized, you know, that first year I thought, oh, I'm hot stuff, you know, coming in, we win 28 games, you know, win district. Thought it was gonna be easy. And then the next year I found out it wasn't so easy. And we had a rough year. We were 14-18, and we were this close to not making it. I said, great, I'm gonna be that guy that doesn't carry on the tradition. And we won at K Park, and we needed help from Barbers Hill. They beat Crosby, and then we beat Porter here, and we needed Summer Creek to beat Crosby in the last game of the season. I remember us all in here in the gym getting play-by-play, all the parents, all the players getting play-by-play of that game, and finally Summer Creek won, and that put us in the playoffs. And this, you know, it was like this place erupted in here, and the locker room erupted. It was a lot of fun. But probably my most favorite moment was when we beat Ridge Point at Phillips Fieldhouse the following year in the second round of the playoffs. We were down 10 in the fourth, late in the fourth, and I was already kind of preparing my speech at the end of the season, and then next thing you know, we come back, had a really good player named Brandon Joseph make some big shots, and all of a sudden we come back and win the game. My parents were there, my whole family was there. It was a great moment.
I grew up in A-Leaf, you know, in the Elsik Hastings rivalry, and you played in that where the gyms were packed. I didn't realize how much intensity there was in that game because you hadn't been in a while. You know, in Fort Bend where I was, we played at Wheeler, and you would play 3 varsity games back to back, and then all the coaches would go out and have dinner afterwards. It wasn't that same kind of intensity. You learn it real quick when during the JV game, if you don't get here by the JV game and the Humboldt-Kingwood game, that you weren't getting in. Every one of them was just a slugfest war. And the first 2 years I was here, honestly, I didn't have the same kind of talent that had been here. Kingwood was just starting their role of Division I kids. First couple years were you know, marginally success, but obviously not what we did at the end of the year, not what they've done with David and Lair since. But those games were why you coach. Whether it was at Kingwood or here, it was packed. It was an electric atmosphere. 9 times out of 10, the game came down the last minute of the game. And it's, as a player and as a coach, what you dream to coach in.
Oh man, just the gym, just the atmosphere at Humboldt High School, man. It's nothing like it, especially the rivalry games. You know, back when I was there, it was Kingwood or Atascocita, and that gym gets full and it echoes. It's nothing like anything I've ever experienced before. And you know, next year they'll be back in the district with us, so I'll be able to be part of that again.